the metallics, people are making countertops and people are realizing they can do this on their floor, right? But I tell people that after they come there and take our class, I've built it on a strong foundation. And although I may be the face behind it, I'm saying there's a lot of other faces here, right? You're going to go and spend the money and go to their class, right? But when people leave those classes and they want continuing education, they come normally to us. Eventually, they're going to come to us. They're going to get in this business, learn from some guys, and they're influencing. And they're artists. They're truly artists.
I'll learn how to do this as a business. We have a frequent buyer program where you can earn yourself. Everybody creates their own reality. This is the reality I create. This here is the training center for the Venetian Plast. The goal is to have 100 stores by the end of 2027. Epoxy will change your life.
Official podcast of Xtreme Polishing Systems. We calling it Epoxy Can Change Your Life.
Yeah, epoxy can and will change your life. That's a trademarked item that we've trademarked because I feel so strong about how epoxy has changed many people's lives. Not only here in this organization, but all the people that we help across the world. And we teach them a great trade, and it changes their lives. And we hear all the great stories about it.
And with that being said, I am here with Christopher Lavin, the owner, the founder of Xtreme Polishing Systems. You talked about epoxy can change your life. I mean, I do believe that. Even my story, I came here from Indianapolis, and I told you about the contractor, my friend JT, man, shout out JT, that he is also he learned epoxy. He came down there Pompano Beach. He was telling me about the whole epoxy training center and how he spent a good amount of money to learn this trade. With that being said, man, Chris, can you just go ahead and tell me about, like, how did you discover epoxy?
Well, first of all, I discovered epoxy in 2017, 2018, when a gentleman came into the store up here, my office building, and said, "Hey, Chris," he goes, "you have this polished concrete university where you're teaching people how to polish concrete with your machines and your equipment, going through the diamonds, the densifier, the sealer, teaching them how to do polished concrete," which is all I really knew how to do when I started my business, National Concrete Polishing, right? And we called it Polished Concrete University. So we were teaching people how to do the trade of polishing concrete. And he said that everybody that's in this class that has these grinders and these machines to do the polishing would be a perfect customer for epoxy. And if you took the training of what you're doing right now and taught them how to install the epoxy and taught them the different techniques, he goes, it would be really great for your business to do that. So you know what? I said, I'm an open-minded person. I said, I'm willing to give anything a chance. So I brought in 4 pallets of his epoxy coatings, and a big shout out to Michael for turning me onto that. And it turned into something special.
So Michael is the one that put you onto epoxy while you're doing the polished concrete classes at the Polished Concrete University.
Yeah, Michael Deldone. He's a great friend of mine
to
this day. Just a great guy, and really concerned about, making sure that people succeed and learn. I'm saying it's not always about the money. It's about, can you teach people a way to make money, teach them how to fish, right? And then feed them bait for life.
And that was something that, really gravitated me towards you, because you were something very about that, just wanting people to fish for themselves, teaching one to fish, and so that they can do it for themselves. And that's something that, really attracted me towards you. And with that being said, you talked about, Polished Concrete University. You were already doing that. That business was already flourishing. And with that being said, can you just tell me about, like, that experience, because that experience, let alone, allowed you to what is now Xtreme Polishing Systems. Can you just talk about the importance of being there in that moment and just sticking to what that was, and then, today?
Okay, well, Xtreme Polishing Systems was floors for life, right? A polished concrete floor is what all the large box, retailers use in their floors, right? Whole Foods, Walgreens, the Starbucks, the Chipotles. Those are polished concrete floors, right? And I always, when people would call me on the phone and say, "Hey, I need to get an epoxy floor done," I'm like, "Oh, you don't want epoxy." I'm saying epoxy is going to yellow, epoxy is going to crack, chip, peel.
You were the guy that was saying you don't want epoxy at first.
Yeah, because I didn't really know. Like, I was ignorant to it.
Oh my God. And here we are with the founder, y'all. The founder that, all right, y'all, I can't make this up.
Yeah. So I was ignorant to it, but a long time ago, all I did was sell diamond blades. So I had a great sales background. I taught people how to sell diamond tools over the telephone, and we call up mason contractors, concrete contractors, mason supply houses, and we would sell our diamond saw blades, and then they would sell them or use them for cutting their brick and block or their marble and their granite. And that whole industry got kind of distorted when they started to put anti-dumping duties in place on imported product coming in from overseas, right?
Okay.
And unfortunately, the factory I was doing business with didn't dot all their I's and cross all their T's in their 900-page document that they supplied to customs, right?
Yeah.
And so they came at me 2 years later and said, hey, you owe us 168% tariff on what you brought in 2 years ago. So it kind of forced me to go out of business. Everything got auctioned off in my building in 2009. And I knew I had to rethink my life, right? And I had to pivot and do something completely different, because I was always at the World of Concrete, always exhibiting and always seeing the new innovative, things that are in the concrete world. And I kept looking at these grinders and seeing all these people that were showing the polished concrete floors. And I bought some grinders. They were the wrong ones. They didn't really work. I'm not going to use names here to protect the guilty parties, okay? But the bottom line is I realized that although people were selling grinders, they didn't also have vacuums. They didn't also have scrubbers. They didn't have like all the necessary parts to put
opportunity
to put a business together, right? So I said, hey, we really need to put it all under one roof to where a customer can call you and they can get everything at one point, right? And that was the birth of Xtreme Polishing Systems. Was like 2009, 2010. At the same time, the guy that couldn't even screw in a light bulb, okay, was getting in the contracting business. You know what I'm saying? My wife will tell you, I'm not the most handy person, okay?
Wow.
But I always said to people, I said, listen, if you're not good at something, right?
Okay.
Or if you don't want to do something, have somebody do it, right? Because there's very good people out there that do these things, right?
Yeah.
And they sure do it a lot better than I do, right? But I put myself into a situation of something I'd never done before, right? So if you want something in life that you've never had before, you got to be willing to do something you've never done before, right? So that's the thing that I think it's the most difficult for people when they come into our university now and they're learning epoxy, is because they've been in painting, they've been in pressure cleaning, they've been in carpet cleaning, they've been in a business, a lot of them. And some of them are just looking at it and saying, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a barbershop business. I'm a barber, and I think that I can do epoxy floors. Or I'm a firefighter, and I've got these 3 days off every week that I could utilize and bring extra income in, right? Which is great. I love seeing the fellow people that are taking care of us, you know what I'm saying, the policemen, the firemen, you know what I'm saying, looking to enhance their life, the need to make more money because they're not getting paid the kind of money they should be paid, right? And we can teach them how to fill those extra hours in and really benefit their lives. So that's kind of like the epoxy will change your life thing, right? Because I see all that happen to these guys. And a lot of them, to be honest with you, once they start going and they see the kind of money that they do make, you know what I'm saying, unfortunately, they give up, what their main thing was. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm not going to be a fireman anymore because I like doing this a lot more and I make a lot more money doing this and I can provide a better life for my family. So after getting into this Xtreme Polishing Systems in 2009, 2010, I only did polished concrete. We made densifier, we made sealer, we manufactured machines overseas. And we became the one-stop shop for polished concrete people. And then Michael came in, right? And he was explaining to me about epoxy and, hey, listen, maybe you shouldn't do polished concrete in the veterinarian clinic. You should do epoxy because dogs urinate and dogs have bodily fluids that are coming out of them when they're coming in for emergency surgeries or whatever. And it made sense to me. Like, hey, listen, because the concrete does stain. If you go down the aisles at Whole Foods and they drop a bottle of vinegar on that floor, it's going to etch the concrete, right? So I'm like, well, that makes sense. If it's coated, it's going to protect the concrete.
Absolutely.
And everybody that has concrete, which is really why this is such a booming business, is they got to protect it. If you're in the middle of Canada and there's snow and there's salt on the roads and your car's coming into the garage, you want to have a coating there to protect that concrete because that salt's going to eat away the concrete and it's going to start to erode over time. And as it erodes and deteriorates, right, it's expensive to replace concrete, right? So it's a lot better to protect it, and that's what the coating is for, right? Fortunately for us, people have really tried to make it a decorative coating, right? To make it really like pop, like towards
Metallics. You can't highlight the metallics because that's seeing like, obviously we got the flex, we got the quartz, we got the solids, but I mean, metallic is just that artsy. That's the one everyone's into, man. So can you just,
yeah, it's the metallics is, by taking these metallic powders, making liquid metallics and putting into the epoxy. People are making countertops. They're doing like really artistic designs, and people are realizing they can do this on their floor, right? Well, you can do your cabinets, you can do your doors of your house. You know what I'm saying?
they're not just limited to just floors.
Yeah, no, you can put it on just about anything except dirt or water. Like it won't adhere to water, and it won't adhere to a dirty surface, right?
Okay.
But that's why we have the grinders. The grinders do the surface preparation, and as long as you give it a good surface profile, you can put this product on anything. It goes on top of metal, it goes on top of tile, it goes on top of wood. So it's super versatile and it's seamless, right? And people love a seamless floor, and these designs are over the top, right? I mean, I don't know if during this podcast you guys can show some pictures of what a
Absolutely.
of what a metallic floor looks like, but these things are crazy, right? And then as that progressed, right, we just kept having classes, and they were sold out. We'd have 20, 30 people in a class, and then we extended to 2 classes a month, and they're sold out. And then it was just a matter of, we're training people, and then the people that we train are out there and they're holding classes, right? Not really that they're to that level to do that, right? You're saying, but they saw the financial opportunity of how they can make money, right? And then some of these guys became very big influencers in this industry. You know what I'm saying?
So can we talk about this, because Robert, the epoxy instructor here at Xtreme Polishing Systems, he spoke about just like there's no governing bureau over epoxy, right? It's just like kind of he lets the students know, like, everyone's making content on YouTube. You can learn epoxy, how to do it this way, that way. But, a lot of students, they come here and he just lets them know. You'll find a lot of, in the media or in YouTube University, but, everyone will tell you, do it this way. But as soon as, once they come here, X, Y, and Z will say so and so. But can you just talk about that?
Well, I mean, we're more geared because I guess I've seen the wild, wild west out there, right? When you have no governing agencies or you don't have any licensing that you need to have to be in this business, except for certain areas you need to get a license, or for a specific dollar value on a job, like you may need to have a general contractor's license, or you may need to become bonded, right? But there really isn't, right? So there's the wild, wild west going on there, right? And then the people that are on YouTube University trying to learn, right? And I know I follow these little gorilla guys now, these AI guys, right? And this guy out in California was making this clip like, well, I learned on YouTube University how to do these floors, but it didn't tell me I had to mix the B with the A.
Oh my God.
Right? And it shows the gorillas slipping on the floor, and it's hilarious to watch this stuff happen, right? And I get the phone calls from the customers, right, that are on the other side of the phone that didn't have a good experience. The guy didn't know what he was doing because he didn't really have education. He just went to YouTube University or, followed whatever the person told him to do, and it didn't work out. And then it becomes a bad problem for the homeowner, and then somebody has to go out and correct it, right? So everything is correctable.
That's good.
But I'm going to tell you, the learning curve, if you want to be successful, you want to get properly trained. And after I saw the need for it, not only did we have here in Pompano Beach, then we went to Altamont Springs, then we opened up in Las Vegas, Nevada, a training facility.
Started scaling quickly.
Yeah. And you know what? It was. I don't know. You just got to do it, right? Like if you see something that's working, the quicker you can scale it, the better it's going to be for you in the long run, right? So what I found was after we had the university going, the people were buying our machines, our equipment, our prep tools, but they really weren't buying our epoxy, right? Like not like you thought they were going to, right? Because what I found out after calling up some of the people that came into the class I had relationships with, they said, well, Chris, it's just so much money to ship this material. For the one garage I'm doing, I know the materials cost $700 or $600 and change, but I got to pay $300 to ship it here, right? Well,
And that's, yeah, because even when I was out in Indianapolis, my guy JT that was down there, his company Splash and Resin, and like, you know, his thing was just the freight, man, just the logistics of getting it, because you know it's coming on a pallet, and and funny story is we was at a farmer, we were doing a garage for a farmer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, shout out Farmer Dan, and like we are doing a flake system, and this is prior to me even knowing Xtreme Polishing Systems. And so now we're doing this garage, and like, he's just like, man, we trying to, because we're just starting out the company, my buddy is. And like, he's like, man, he's just trying to, so basically we put some of our own money just to make sure that this project went well, and the client would get this, my guy, Farmer Dan, would get a great floor. So we made sure we did that. But I hear you, man. The freight, it's just like, I guess that's the problem that the contractors are having, is just paying the shipping for
Right.
the epoxy.
So the unique part about our company is the chemistry of the products that we carry, right? And I have a contracting business, right? So I utilize these products first before I make them available to any of my customers, right? So I have to make sure that it meets my quality standards, right? And I've got a very high quality standard compared to most people, right? Like I like really nice things in life, okay? And I'm not ever going to be the cheapest guy out there, right? But when you buy from us, you're going to get great customer service. You're going to get the best products that are out there, and we're here to help you make money. Like that's the key thing, right? So, and people come to us and they got big jobs and they need price discounts or whatever. And I work with everybody, right? Because you have to work with people. You can't be so steadfast on your pricing. Because I go to Sherwin-Williams, and Sherwin-Williams, they put the hammer to you. You know what I'm saying? Like they literally do. And I go,
You're getting nice right now. You're in the sand there.
I'm like, please don't take off my left armpit, buddy. I need that, right? But
Oh man.
but I tell people that after they come there and take our class and they use our materials, right? They become familiar with them, and they're familiar with all the people in the organization. They're familiar with the culture, and they like that, right? They like that everybody's smiling, happy. There's dogs running around. It's like, it's refreshing, right?
Man, I'll say this, man, and that's why I love that we're doing this podcast, because I'm so new and I have a fresh perspective of South Florida. And man, you spoke on it, but we're gonna here, and your company has welcomed me. I mean, from Cynthia the receptionist to even Robert, man. That's my guy. I like Robert. He's like, bro, he's a scientist.
Yeah.
He's a scientist, man, when I watch him talking just about epoxy, because like I just love to learn myself personally. But can you just speak on just, your staff here? I mean, from Anthony Germain, one of the top head sales guys. Can you just talk about just the organization?
Well, I got to say this, right? I love everybody here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a true love. Like I know I wouldn't be where I'm at in this life without all these people around me, right? So, and I always announce that to them, right? Saying how important they are to me, right? And everybody feels like they're not replaceable, right? We are all replaceable, right? If I fall off the earth tomorrow, this place will still be here, right? I've built it on a strong foundation. And although I may be the face behind it, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of other faces here, right? And if you give them enough leeway to do what they're supposed to do, right? And if they know what the end result is that you're looking for, there's a lot of different ways to get there, right? Just like you can do an epoxy floor in different ways. Like there's no person that's going to do it exactly the same, right? Everybody's going to have their own little tricks of their trade, okay? And it doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong, right? So I try and tell people, I said that, and Robert is so amazing, right? Like everybody, when I talk to the class for about an hour during the day, during the week, they just applaud Robert. We love Robert. Robert's great, right? And when other instructors come down here that are going to teach in some of the facilities, they see how Robert does it. And I said, listen, here's the one thing you got to understand, okay? I don't want you to be like Robert.
Now he's one of one, man.
Yeah, I want you to be you, right? Because that's what they're learning from you, right? Like there's a lot of different ways to fish. Robert fishes a specific way, and everything's going to be put in a specific place. He's very OCD, right? Like everything is perfect in Robert's world. And if it's out of perfection, you know what I'm saying? Like he deals with the way he deals with it, right? Other people aren't as OCD as Robert, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And most people that are out there in the real world are not that neat and organized like Robert. So if they can take little bits and pieces from everybody that's in the class, right? Maybe take some bits and pieces of my salesmanship that I talk about, how I price jobs, how I greet customers. Like those are things that we train and teach that the other people don't, right? Like you're going to go to these other influencers that learn how to do these cool floors and they got their techniques, and you're going to go and spend the money and go to their class, right? But when people leave those classes and they want continuing education, they come normally to us. Eventually they're going to come to us. And when they do, they just say, wow, like this is just so different from what I first experienced in the epoxy. And I wish I would have taken this first because I really learned so much. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the key thing, right? Like I'm not saying that any of these influencers that are holding these classes are the wrong way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Go and spend your money. Right? If you're going to get in this business, learn from some guys that are out there and they're influencing, and they're artists. They're truly artists. They're really good at the metallic floors, right? But if you really want to learn a whole business model, right? Like how to build a website, how to create your name for the business, how to price jobs, how to greet customers. Everybody can learn how to do the application, but then you got to be the business person, right? And then I talk about health, right? Like, because health to me is super important, right? Like I have a juice bar that my wife and I have had for the last 10 years. I had health issues. I cured them by drinking juice and eating healthy, all organic, fruits and vegetables.
So what's up with the health? Like why are you focused on that? Did you have any like illnesses or preconditions prior, or like what made you become more conscious of your health?
Well, I'm an alcoholic, right? So I abused alcohol and drugs for many years, and it just took a toll on my body, right? To where when the doctor says, hey, if you continue what you're doing, okay, you'll be dead in less than a year. So you have wake-up calls, right? A lot of people will just say, well, I'm going to go live the life that I want to live, and I really don't care, right? But to me, I'm like, I don't want to die. Like I was 40 some years old. I wasn't thinking about, going underground at that point in time. So I had to do it. Like there's only one person you can look at, okay? At the end of the day, it's going to get you where you need to go, and it's you, right? It's you and God, right? And if you choose not to do it, right, that's your choice. It's called free will. But if you choose that you want the help, okay, and maybe you just don't know how to do it, then you need to listen to people that will guide you along the way and help you, right? So I listen to my wife. My wife is my healer. My wife is my everything, okay? And the big key to that is she directed me on a route that kind of got me to where I am today, because she says, hey, you want to follow this guy on YouTube called The Life Regenerator. And that's my shout out to Dan McDonald, right? So Dan McDonald was a life regenerator, and he was this California, like little skinny Jesus guy, right? Like the California man, right?
Oh man, come on. Look at you.
He pedaled his bicycle from California to New York, only eating bananas, right? And he was fruitarian and vegetarian, and only ate fruits and vegetables, right? And I'm watching this guy on his YouTubes, and he was getting like, he'd make a video, he'd post it, and then also the next day he'd have like 8,000 views on it, right? Which was back 10 years ago, that was a lot of views.
Absolutely.
Well, I kept watching what he was doing, and my wife says, hey, Chris, she goes, you're getting yourself better. You know what I'm saying? You look good. Your skin color's coming back. You know what I'm saying? The yellow from your eyes is going back to white. And I could feel a huge change in my body, right? And she's explaining, she says, hey, listen, she goes, no matter how much money you have, right? No matter how much money you have, if you are not here, okay, if you are not here on this earth,
I'm listening.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
because you can't take it with you.
Hey man, so you telling me all this stuff that you built, it wouldn't matter?
It wouldn't matter because when I die, it's not coming with me, right?
Yeah, that's some real stuff.
So everybody's always caught up on making that buck, right? And I'm a big hustle guy. You know what I'm saying? I get up, I do the grind every day. I put my war bonnet on, my war boots, okay, and I go to in the trenches with everybody, right? And we fight the good fight every day, right? And I train, I teach. But I say to everybody that comes through my class, I said, you can't do it on Red Bull, Monster energy drinks, and cigarettes, okay?
What about dunking?
Yeah, no,
I heard the one is on dunking.
I know. Is that terrible or what?
Hey man, I don't need nothing. I'm water and I'm up.
Yeah. You want to get out of bed and jump jump up like a kangaroo with them.
Come on, man. That's how you're supposed to be. That's how I come in here, man. I'm like, yo, I love the company culture. I mean, like I told you, what you built here is amazing. Now, Julia hired me, and now I'm in the building. So I don't know, man. Now we doing this podcast.
This is kind of exciting, huh?
It is, and I think this is a start to like when I told you before we even started recording. I said, dude, this is the time to really, installers. They're a big part of this industry.
Yes.
You guys are looking for installers.
Installers. Listen, installers, if you are out there and you are not happy with where you're at in life, right?
Can we talk about what does an installer look like? Because it could be someone that's a previous painter, someone that did anything in that contract construction work, right?
Anybody.
Waterproofing.
It could be an accountant. It could be somebody that's just tired of what they're doing, right? And listen, you only have one life, right? So it's best to do as much as you can and get the most out of it, right? Because you can't replace your time. You can replace everything else. You just can't replace time.
Time is the biggest asset.
Right? And I'm 62 years old right now, right? So boy, would I do anything to be your age again. You know what I'm saying?
It feels good to be my age and run with you now. I'm telling you, it feels good. Y'all better do your homework, man. But with that said, man, because I brought up installers and, coming from Indianapolis, my friend JT, he was an installer.
How old is JT?
He's 27, 28. He's big, bro. You know what I'm saying? So he's a little older, but at the end of the day, we're just thinking, because we really like this metallic. We like, man, it's so artsy. It's more than just being a construction worker and just installing a floor. It's literally art on the floor. I mean, you're talking about it's transforming the dynamic of a space.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's creating an environment, right? And the one thing I always like to do, and when people walk around my business here, is they notice that it's an environment, right? Like we're up here in the Mammoth Lounge, right? We're in the cigar lounge up in Xtreme Polishing Systems, and it's got the gold glitter floor, right? So when I did this gold glitter floor, we put it up on YouTube because my wife told me, hey, you want to be on YouTube, Chris? You want to teach people.
Shout out to Queen.
What you do, yeah. So Carrie was my inspiration. She's my first guide and said, hey, follow this guy. And I did. And I followed him and I bought the juicer. I was doing smoothies. I was walking around with big all mason jars of juice, and people are going like, well, what is this guy doing? You know what I'm saying? I was losing weight.
Health as well.
I had a nice healthy glow about my skin, right?
People can tell, man.
Yeah. And then I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to get this guy, Dan McDonald, to come out here and talk to all my people in my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they understand that I'm not just a Fruit Loop. Because they were all thinking like, this guy's like, he's turned into a Fruit Loop, right?
That's how it is, man.
He's like, he was a party animal, saying like, and now he's drinking freaking juice out of a ball mason jar.
It is interesting when people like see your perspective of you making like this whole like turnaround, and like people are like, man, this Fruit Loop, you know what I mean? But it's like, no, man, I'm really doing something. You guys should be raise that awareness. Like you guys should be doing so well.
So I called up Dan McDonald, right? And Dan McDonald, I said, hey, Dan, I said, I know you don't know me from Adam, okay, but I've been following you on YouTube. I said, and you've really helped me change my life, because he did. And I learned by him, by example, right? He's sharing juice recipes, teaching me how to eat properly, right? Organic. And I invited him to come down here for a week. I said, I'm going to pay you to come down here for a week, right? And, I really don't know who we are and blah, blah, blah. So he took a class at Dr. Robert Morris's with my wife, which is a detoxification class over in Naples. And my wife went over and she goes, oh, Dan McDonald's here. You got to come over and meet Dan, right? So I went over, and the California dude was over there in his little bare feet and his long jeans.
Hey, them California people be so chill, man.
Dude, he was eating watermelon underneath a tree when I went there, right?
Okay.
So then that was him sitting
the Buddha.
Yeah, and he's like, come on, sit down by me, bro. And it was cool, And then I spent some time with him. And I'm like, listen, I said, I got a lot of people over there who would really love to meet you. And we're going to do a raw vegan week. We'll do a raw vegan week. I'm going to go down to the market and I'm going to get all the organic fruits and vegetables. You tell me what to get and I'll get it. And we're going to have a whole week with Dan McDonald, right? So we did that. And I'm going to tell you, the people in my organization, I told them about the raw food challenge that we were going to do. We were going to eat raw for a week. And everybody was coming out of the bathroom and saying, oh my God, I'm really losing a lot of weight, right? Because they were detoxifying their body, right? Because they're eating processed foods. They're eating potato chips. They're eating honey buns from the vending machines. They're eating out of gas stations. Like, you cannot go into a gas station and get anything that's going to have substance or nutrients.
This is by design, by the way.
It is. It's by design.
Oh, we're gonna call it that.
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate it. That's being very kind, by the way.
Very kind.
Yeah, very kind. We're not gonna go anti-government in this one. Okay, and
We chilling. It's our podcast.
yeah, we don't.
Don't tell the narrative.
Yeah, we can hold that another time.
Yeah.
But so he came here for the week. He inspired everybody for the week, and I said, you know what, guys? I said, if you guys want to do this and make it a program for the company, you guys pay $10 a day. I'll provide you with a juice, a smoothie, and a raw vegan salad, right? Which are amazing, right? So I'd say probably about 60% or 70% of the people were all on board, right? And then I hired a raw vegan chef, and they came in and they prepared all the foods, right? And the people would come and they would get their juices in the morning, and everybody was having a great time. Well, what happened is the naysayers, right? The 30% that weren't doing it, right?
There's always them.
They're eating at Murder King. They're eating at all the bad.
Murder King.
Yeah, Murder King.
Hey, have it your way.
Yeah. They're eating at all the bad places, and it's like, you know what, guys? I said, I'll be honest with you. I'm watching all your business, right? Everybody that's on the raw food program, their business is doing much better than it was the month before. And it's only getting better. And then I'm talking a 30 or 40% difference, right? All of our business started to take off, right? And the guys that were laughing it off, right? And they're bringing in their Red Bulls, and they're like, they're laughing at us because they're the naysayers, right? They don't really want more with their life, right? They're just content, and they're never gonna.
That's literally what it is.
They're never gonna strive for something different, right? Until something significant happens to them, and then maybe they will. Okay,
a bump in the road.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have the $1.50 hot dog at Costco.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's always right until that bump hits them.
Yeah, and when that bump hits them, right? Then they end up in our juice shop. Okay, and they're starting to ask like, hey, I got cancer, I got a bad disease, I got diverticulitis. What do I do for that, right? And then it's crazy,
dude. And that just shows us, man, we're just a culture of followers, man. But if we can put that, like how you're speaking of, you took the initiative to take, she's like, oh, you need to, first it started with, can we shout out the queen? She was like, you need to take better health. So people, you got people in your circle that care about you.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you took that, okay, I'm gonna look myself in the mirror. I've built all this, and if I can't even be here, what's the point?
Right. And listen, it was more than just going to eating raw food and fruits and vegetables. I had to quit alcohol, right? And that was difficult, and it's difficult for anybody to quit drugs or alcohol, right? But by the grace of God, you know what I'm saying? Like I prayed and I surrendered.
And made a conscious decision.
Yeah, I surrendered. I couldn't do it anymore. I was weak to everything, right?
Can you highlight the juice bar? Can you highlight that your wife runs?
Yeah, so my wife, Carrie, okay.
Shout out Carrie.
Carrie, we love you, okay? And she runs Juice to You in Pompano Beach, right? That's her store. And we had 3 of them. We built up a couple more during COVID.
Nice.
And unfortunately, they couldn't support themselves. It's not easy to sell cold pressed organic juice in a glass bottle for $15 and make money, which people don't understand that because it's against the normal $3 soda. You know what I'm saying? The Coca-Cola that costs them 25 cents that they sell for $3, that's a lot more profitable than the juice that costs us $10 selling it for 15, right?
Nah.
So Carrie is a health person, right? Like we're not a big fan of the doctor's office. We believe
I'm right there with you.
We believe that there's need to be doctors for those moments when we need them, right? If you're having a heart attack, if you're having a stroke, but we want to prevent that, right? By eating healthy and by watching what you do during the course of your life, right? Because that
plays a part, absolutely.
It's a big part, right?
Absolutely.
You can get hit by a truck tomorrow because people say, "Oh, you can get hit by a truck tomorrow. You can fall out of the sky out of an airplane." Yeah, you can, right? Like we don't have a date on the bottom of our feet when we're expiring, right? But if you take care of your body, you know what I'm saying, and treat it properly, and exercise, and eat well, like eating is more important than exercise. Like if you're eating
80-20, that's what I was getting at. 80% diet, 20% working out.
Yeah, and you watch these pro athletes, they're eating junk. Oh, I got a Taco Bell in my house.
Man, so what do you think about that? These athletes that be doing that hot fries mid-game. I mean, Marshawn Lynch, he's a big Skittles guy when he play football. I mean, but they professionals. I feel like they get to do that, though.
Well, they don't know any better.
Yeah, they got people around them that do.
No, I know, but those people don't really know any better either.
Yeah, they shouldn't be allowing that. Because we see it, the younger generation, Susan, and that's
It's okay to eat all that.
yeah, that's the doubt, man. Because I remember just growing up, man, you'll watch the Kobe Bryants of the world. You would never catch them eating none of that type of junk. You know, their profession was their profession. You would never, you know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, that just goes to show the time that. But, you know, and I'm glad that, you know, you control more of this podcast episode. It just goes to show how conscious you are about health. And I want people to know that about you. Because the moment I met you, that's what something we talked about instantly. And so with that being said, man, I want to get back to the installers, man, because I think that's huge, man. I really do.
Well, listen, the installers make up this whole wonderful world that we're in, the epoxy world, right? Without the installers, we don't have it.
Okay, and with that being said, man, because I think it's a huge opportunity for young, man, it's a lot of young men out there that are looking for opportunities. And I really think, you know, from the age range of 16 to, man, up, 16 and up, man, I think epoxy is a great trade for you to learn. And so can you just talk about the opportunities here at the Epoxy Training Center and like what people should know?
Well, we get calls from parents, right, that they want their son that's 17 or 18 years old, and they say, well, can he come to the class because he's under 18? I'm like, yeah, if he's 17 or 16, like they got to start to learn, right? I mean, it's just like going to school, right?
Yeah.
And in school, I wasn't a school guy. Like I didn't graduate high school, right? Because I don't know if I had attention deficit disorder back then or whatever, but I couldn't be held in one place for a long period of time. And it was kind of boring to me. Like I knew most of the answers, right? But I wasn't a guy that could bring home a book and study it, right? I'd rather go home and listen to rock music. Like that's what I enjoyed doing, right?
But you know who you were early on, and I think, you know, because a lot of people find themselves the same way. Like they removed a lot of these, you know, tool shops up in high school where we can learn a trade and things of that nature.
They took it away. They took away the woodworking.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
so that's the main reason why I wanted to highlight these opportunities that you've created. You know, you start with the polished concrete, then, you know, Michael comes along, he tells you about, you should probably be selling epoxy,
Yeah.
you know, and you were the same guy that was like, nah, I'm not selling epoxy.
I was afraid of it.
Isn't it funny how the world works, man? And
Yeah.
how you done built this whole empire.
I was afraid of it.
And so like, man, I think, yeah, man. So I just wanted to highlight that. I think the younger audience, man, they're looking for opportunities, and here you've created the opportunity. Like I told you, the guy in Indianapolis, he's doing huge things. So yeah. With that said, man, I wanted to go to.
They got to take the first step, right? The first step is you got to call the 800 number, sign up for a class, right? And come and spend a week with us, right? And we're going to spend time with you. Like we're not just going to kick you to the side. You know what I'm saying? You're going to learn. You're going to be in there. We're going to ask you to get in there and start to use these machines and use this equipment, right? We're going to show you how to use
a lot of hands-on for sure.
It is like, and that's, to me, that's important, right? Than just sitting there watching other people install a floor, right? Like, because you're not going to get much out of that, right? But if you're in there doing the mixing and you understand why you got to mix it for 3 minutes, and you understand why you got to, you know, make certain batches that are smaller for the highlights, and you understand how the metallics work and how they melt into each other, like you're gonna be doing it. Then you're gonna be making small samples. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's gonna make samples. They're gonna be able to take home a sample with them, and then more importantly is we're gonna tell them how to run a business. Like anybody can do the application part, guys. You got to learn how to sell. You got to learn how to come out of your shell. You can't just text everybody for the rest of your life. You got to go out and you got to meet people. You got to look them in the eyes. You know what I'm saying? We're going to give you some of that learning that they don't teach you in school, and that maybe your parents didn't teach you, right? And maybe they just gave you that iPad to entertain yourself with because they didn't have time because there's 4 kids. So you're sitting there with your iPad, and that's what you do the whole time. So you're staying within yourself, and you're an introvert, right? You're not out there socializing, right? So we're going to kind of get you out of your shell. And if you're not that person, because you have to be that introvert and you have to be behind the computer, then we're going to teach you how to go and hire people that are that person, right? So you can run a successful organization, and you can build a multi-million-dollar business in this epoxy industry in a relatively short period of time. Many people have come out of this class and done $1 million in their first 12 months.
Yeah, man, just to highlight a bit of perspective, right? You know, like I told you, I saw a video that you posted on YouTube about 2 years ago, and you just brought up just how, like, you know, how fresh epoxy is in the in this new marketplace, right? And you said something to the extent where only 2% of the homes in America are covered in epoxy. Only 2%.
Yeah.
And that was 2 years ago I saw that video. I'm not sure what the numbers look like today, but that just goes to show the amount of money that can be made in the future and all these opportunities, all these 2-car garages, 3-car garages, man, and you just start there and you scale up. I think y'all, man, if y'all it's not clicking, man, I don't know what it is, man. Come here to Pompano Beach, man. We got the Epoxy Training Center here. Learn from Robert. We got the Spanish classes with Javier as well, man. So if you're just a Spanish speaker, can you talk about that? Yeah, because
well, yeah. So here's the thing, right? So we were seeing a lot of people come in that really didn't speak a lot of English, right? Because they're coming in from another country, and they came in through their folks or however they got here, but they're legal, obviously, and they don't understand English, right? So I'm like, well, let's have a class just in Spanish. So the people, because a lot of the people that are in this business, you know what I'm saying, are from other parts of the world, right? They're from Colombia, they're from Ecuador, they're from Mexico, and I mean, I live in Florida. We're down in Miami, right? Like I'm the minority down in Miami, right? Like there's a lot of people from Cuba and from Latin America, right? And they speak Spanish. And you know what? When I go in there and I go to ask directions or something into a local like gas station, they don't understand me, right? So imagine speaking only Spanish and not really understanding English, trying to go through a class like that.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we try and we want to train the people of different ethnicity, right? So they can learn how to do it, right? So we're trying to now look into, they have these translators now that you can wear on your ears. I just saw them.
Oh yeah,
in the United Nations.
Technology is crazy.
So when Donald Trump was speaking, right, like the words that he was saying in English were automatically translated into their earpieces into the language that they are familiar with. So that does exist, and we're going to get into that here probably in next year. And the technology right now with the AI and everything. So we're in just an unbelievable time right now. I know there's a lot of uneasiness with a lot of people. A lot of people are afraid. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people are afraid of a lot of things, and they just kind of like are going into hiding, right? And there's no reason to do that. Like I said, you can't replace your time. Go out there, make that first step. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid. You know what I'm saying? The birds are never afraid in the morning. Like the birds are always going to go get their food, right? And you're never going to run out of money at the end of the day because money's not real. But come to a class and it will definitely change your life. I promise you that.
And with that being said, this is the first episode of Epoxy Can Change Your Life. I'm here with Christopher Lavin, and we are out.